right. Welcome back to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching. And we've got a repeat guest for you guys today. You've got to know that if we ask somebody to be back on the show again and again, and we'll have to ask him how many times he's actually made an appearance, that this is somebody we really dig, somebody that has some really cool insight into life, into business, and obviously into the things that we work on in our program, lead generation and client retention and team structure and all of those sorts of things. So welcome back to the show, DC Terry. Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing well. How's everything with you?
Good. I've got to let our audience know, just because I think it's hilarious. And for those of you that only catch the podcast, we do start this as a video cast with a live broadcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube on Monday mornings. And I don't know, we probably jumped on a few minutes before we were going to go live and started chatting. And I joked that it was the first time, and it may not be a joke, but I thought it was funny that DC wasn't wearing a necktie. I've never seen DC without a necktie in person on the video cast. I have never seen DC without a necktie. So he thinks it's hilarious, and he pulls one out and shows it to me. And in the time it took us to run the intro, DC got his tie fixed. I want to see the knot, though, man. Come on, did we get a good knot tied in that tie? Oh man,
can you see it?
Dapper.
Hopefully,
Dapper.
pretty good.
Yeah, Well, I guess I did wear and tie a necktie on New Year's Eve. That was the last time I had done that, and I can't remember the time before that. Oh, they're going to have to start making neckties longer as my neck gets fatter. So, DC, you haven't been on the show for a minute. It was certainly last year. It was likely before all the chaos we saw with the real estate commissions and the NAR settlement that went on late last summer. Mm-hmm. It was obviously before we saw all kinds of violent ups and downs in the last 9 months in the mortgage-backed securities market. I mean, things have been wild since we've talked to you. What have you been up to?
Watching and building. Watching, building, and first off, let me just say how much of an honor it is to be back here with you guys. I really enjoy this.
Oh, it's all ours.
Yes, sir. But I've been watching and building and just kind of working in silence, to be honest.
Well, I think that's important. And I think a lot of people that have been doing this for any length of time, like you and I have, and this is true of pretty much everybody that would fit into our audience, mortgage originators, which DC and I both are, for those of you listening, real estate agents, which is really the brunt of our coaching client audience right now. We're working with more agents than we are loan originators, although for the content, the audience is about the same. The job is about the same. Mm-hmm. But I think that the people that are doing it today have been doing it for any length of time, have seen some ups and downs, went through, the pandemic and then the subsequent deterioration of business post-pandemic, or even back to 07, 08, when the greed of the mortgage-backed securities system on Wall Street crashed the real estate market. I mean, just on and on. If you're still at it today, one, good for you. My hat's off. Obviously, this is hard work, and you have to work hard in order to have success at it. But I think of equal importance is that these people are what you're talking about. That's of equal importance is that you have to do that. You have to build foundational work. You've got to be working with the knowledge base, with the understanding that the work you're doing today is going to pay you dividends in 3 months and 3 years and in a decade. And I think the people that treat it like a career and not a job, like a marathon, not a sprint, understand that. And yeah, it sounds to me like you're back on the marathon and running past the water table and getting a little refreshment. And we're at mile 12 of 26 here.
Yes, sir. I don't know about the refreshment part yet, but but I'm running. I am running.
All right. Well, what are you up to these days? What kinds of behind the scenes stuff should our audience be paying attention to? Are we still big in social media work? Are we doing a lot of writing? Are we doing a lot of networking? What are we seeing as DC's top lead gen activities these days?
I've really been working on it's been funny thing is I was supposed to start back last week, but it's been August since I've put out a video. And
Wow.
so but our TikTok channel still gets, likes daily from the videos that I put out.
Even with that kind of a gap in new content.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that
so
speaks volumes about the previous content.
yes,
Okay,
sir.
cool.
Yes, sir. So that and really just kind of revisiting our process. I really was forced to do a deep dive last year into our our process, the company, how we did things. And I'm going to go back to something that you've said over the last 2 years is, write everything down, every piece, that's a part of the transaction so that no one can say, I don't want to say it this way, but in a nutshell, no one can say they don't know what to do,
Or it's not
but
my job.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and that's something that when I left last year, I said, you know what? The year before, I didn't do that. And I think I want to say I said that, but I decided to do that. And the thing is it really made me pay more attention to, everybody doesn't know what you know because you've been doing this, over 2 decades. And so the basics have to be done. So I found myself now then having to really hold people more accountable to the basic things that needed to be done. Because if not, then all of the new things that would pop up, the fires that we've not seen just because of people's lifestyle and their scenarios, that would actually clog us if the
Sure.
basic things weren't done.
Bottleneck.
So, yeah, so I found myself actually going back, digging into the process there, and really having to make a few hard changes. Yeah.
So we talk about this quite a bit internally and certainly with all of our coaching clients, especially when we start talking about team structure and we're getting into a point in our program where people need an assistant or two or a
Mhm.
junior LO or a transaction coordinator or a buyer's agent. Whatever role you're in, you obviously know that there are different roles for different underlings, that kind of thing. So we do talk about this quite a bit. And I guess the theory that we've coined is fuck up faster. And sorry, look at me talking like a sailor to a Marine. Sorry. If you guys are not familiar with the fact that we're going to drop the occasional F-bomb on How I Met Your Mortgage, then I apologize for your virgin ears. In any case, what we basically describe is pressure testing the system. Figure out where the cracks are, where the flaws are, where the hiccups are, where are the things that you need to ensure are shored up before you get to a point where it's your client that's experiencing that crack, that's experiencing that hiccup, before it's your referral partner that's experiencing that. You guys can pressure test your systems before it comes off as a bad experience for your client, for your referral partner, for the title company, for whoever's involved in the transaction. You're going to be much, much happier that way, I promise. And I don't think we talked about this at Mile High Mastermind last fall. And I may have been a little preemptive, although since we only do that event once a year, it seemed fitting. We're going to get really busy. All of you that are still in business, things are going to
Yeah.
become voluminous. Now, I'm not talking about where you basically just, threw on a headset and every time you answered the phone, it was somebody who wanted to do a rate and term refinance like we did in the latter half of 20 and 21.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, busy, lucrative, but redundant, repetitive. That was not boring work. Then we dipped into where we were at least able to be really creative, put our skill set to use, more work. But now I think we're going to have both in combination with the fact, and I know a lot of you have already seen this, we went from some ridiculous number in 21 where there were like 1 million active loan originators, 900,000 something. And the number of people that renewed their federal license in 2025 was less than 100,000.
Yes,
We
sir.
literally took like a 90% cut. So if you take that into account, along with the fact that right now, in order to do good mortgage work, do good real estate work, especially with the troubles that have been thrown at them, you've got to have a broad skill set. You've got to be able to solve problems, put out fires, just like DC said, we are firefighters. Then if that workload comes into culmination with a bump in the volume, and I think it's coming, then you guys have got to be prepared. You've got to have those systems tested. Make sure that you know what you're doing. Make sure you know what your team is doing. Make sure your team knows what they're doing. These kinds of things. For those of you that have been through our program or any of our conferences or have seen me speak at a conference, I rival that process to the Big Mac. And I'm a big fan of Ray Kroc. If you haven't seen The Founder, check it out. Michael Keaton does a great job. And they basically lay out this explanation of how they make the Big Mac, or how McDonald's makes a hamburger prior to Ray Kroc being involved in. One guy takes the order and the next guy lays out the bun. That next guy pulls your credit report. And then the next guy puts on the lettuce and the secret sauce. That's the person that does the data entry. And then the next guy structures the whatever it is, however you lay out your process, and you want it to be synonymous every time around, and you want it to be a good customer service process, I rival it to the Big Mac. On my team, it's the same person pulling the credit report every time. It's the same person doing the data entry every time. It's the same person setting them up in our system that collects documents and loan. It's the exact same process on every loan, which enables us to deliver that same experience and enables us to pressure test the system properly, which is what DC is telling you guys. You've got to make sure that your systems are intact, and do it now, because you won't have time to do it when you get busy. All you're going to have time to do when you get busy is give people a shitty experience. When we're building a strict repeat and referral business, you can't do that. They're not going to come back to you. They're not going to refer more people to you. So, guys, listen to DC's words. The gospel of DC. Get your systems in order.
Yes.
We talk about this all the time, and you and I have probably talked about it, I don't know, once a year or every other year for the last decade. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, so that's a good way to have spent some less quiet time. Internal ops, systems checks. Okay, so what are we going to start doing this year? We already mentioned the video, short form video. So we're going to be big on TikTok Reels shorts, I assume.
Yeah, we're going to go back towards that. Actually, before the end of the day today, I'll do the first one. And I was supposed to
give us the TikTok handle so we can all go look.
Actually, it's We Get Loans Approved.
We Get Loans Approved. Cool. Yep. And yes, you do.
Yes, sir. And so we'll be going back, starting that today. And then really just now that I'm honing in, I'm really riding my team very hard right now. And so, and I'm not having to, but I feel like it's justified to say, in a nutshell, please don't think I don't like you. There's certain things that have to be done in a particular way. And I want to work myself out of doing things. And so in order for me to work myself out of doing things, you're going to have to know how I do things. And before you come in, or before anyone comes in to want to change things, show me that you can actually do it this way first. Because if anything fails as far as your thoughts, then you have something to fall back on that we know that works. So before I give the reins over, or just give you control of the horse, let's see how you ride, And so that's the thing there. And then also digging in with our realtors, we have a few realtor partners that there's a particular way that the reason that they still refer businesses because of a particular way that I handle clients. So really digging in with them and our MAP program that we released actually in test form, I believe the last time we were on with you. And so now it's kind of full blown. And so we'll be pushing that more as far as really what all it entails. And it's not just a down payment assistance program, but it's a true borrower experience that takes you from Florida to New York. It's the whole flight of getting you there. And then as a passenger, the things that you need to do in order to get on the flight, and then how you need to conduct yourself while you're on the flight so that we can get you from point A to Z, if that
I,
makes sense.
it makes well, I've seen your process. We've talked about it, so I know how this works. Our audience, probably not so much, but I do want for our audience to know that as loan originators go, DC is very soft spoken. As ex Marines go, DC is very soft spoken. However, his desire to really help people that don't think they could be homeowners become homeowners is very loud. I would say, and to correct me if I'm wrong, but I would be willing to bet that the majority of your clients didn't think they could buy a home,
You got it.
and they are now homeowners.
Yes, sir.
That I think is a really big deal, because we talk about what goes on in the mortgage space, and we obviously still talk a lot about the cubicle farms at Rocket, or the companies that we hear advertising or whatever. And if we do have any consumers listening or watching, there's a reason that advertising gets paid, and I got news for you: it's you. You're the one. You pay. Hey, Rocket. And I watched the interview with their marketing people after the Super Bowl. Loved your Super Bowl ad. John Denver fan. We sing that song at all kinds of sporting events in town. I sang it Friday night at the University of Denver Pioneer game. But who's paying for that? This is a Super Bowl ad. This is the most expensive airtime known to man at, what was it this year? 6 million, 8 million for 30 seconds. Not to mention what went on with the marketing people, the ad agency, on and on and on.
Yep.
There's a reason for that. Okay, neither here nor
Okay,
there.
so
let's get back on track.
But can you do something else before you leave that?
Yeah.
Can you share how they're paying for it?
Well, the consumer.
Well, we know the consumer is paying for it, but how is the consumer paying for it?
So we're going to see inflation in rates. We're going to see different margins. Even during margin compression periods, we're going to see different margins. We're going to see higher costs, whether that's broker fees, origination fees. Well, I guess they're not brokers, they're retail. But I do want to make it clear that Rocket does TPO. They do third-party originator work.
They do.
So I'd be willing to bet that if you came to me with a quote you got from Rocket Retail, and I pulled it through Rocket as a third-party originator, as a broker through their wholesale channel, I'll bet I'm more competitive.
Exactly.
So it's undoubtedly, indubitably, the retail consumers that are paying for that airtime. All right. So we talk about companies like Rocket, and there are a ton of others where it's, cubicle farms or call centers, or they're running ads, whatever the case may be. And one of the MOs with a lot of this is that it's kind of red stamp, green stamp. Yeah, we can do your loan. No, we can't do your loan. Sorry. Yeah, we can do your loan. No, we can't do your loan. Just that, and it's just like a processing line. And I don't want to detract from that, because it's just a different business model.
Yep.
And I do like things that have a process and have a system and these kinds of things. But you guys need to know that that's not DC, and that's certainly not how we operate at our mortgage company at the Core Finance Group. We're going to help you get there. We're not going to just tell you, no, it's not possible. We're going to tell you, here's what needs to be done in order to get there.
Yep.
And we'll help you. We'll hold your hand. We'll give you step by step. And I would say that you probably take that even further. I mean, you are a hand holder as well as a boot to butt, for lack of a better term, because you will make these people homeowners. If they have the desire, if they have the ganas, then you're going to help them do it.
Yes, sir.
Which is really different.
Yeah. Some people most people appreciate the whole handing part, but there are definitely those who don't necessarily appreciate the boot to butt part.
And stick or carrot, I get
it. And we can tell that individual up front. And so that's also a part this year of, I've already let our realtors know, hey, listen, things will be different this year. So your clients that you're bringing, it's not just that they need to qualify for a mortgage, because we know that the majority of them that are coming, they have issues, but they also need to now qualify to work with me. And in order to work with me, there's a particular mindset that you have to have. And there's a mutual respect we're going to have for each other, a mutual agreement that we're going to get you to the finish line. You're not going to fall out. And I can normally tell within the first, 3 minutes of a conversation if this is a person that's really ready, and if this is a person that will trust me enough to follow my instructions and not fight us along the way. Because if they do, then that slows down our process and it slows down our line. It slows down, our
Your
progress.
Big Mac. We're holding up a Big Mac.
Yes, sir. And
So
funny thing is, I used to work at McDonald's when I was 16, so I know what you're talking about.
that is awesome.
I
Okay,
was
so
on that line.
let me ask you this, because I do think it's an
Mhm,
important piece of the puzzle for our audience, certainly. And when we're talking about team structure and hiring assistants, TCs, buyers, agents, junior LOs, whatever it is, we focus a lot on personality profiles,
mhm.
DISC, Enneagram, Strength Finders. Quick nod to Jen and David, because we might still be using antiquated processes, if not for the people on our team, on our coaching team.
Mhm.
But how much of that are you putting into those initial assessments with potential clients? Are you getting a handle on what personality style they are? I mean, I know you know this stuff because we've talked about it. So,
Mhm.
in those first 3 minutes, as you describe it, when we're kind of making some analysis as far as whether or not this is somebody that's going to jump on our train and ride down the tracks with us so that they can be successful in the manner that we want them to be successful in, do personality profiles come into play with that? Are you doing some quick
Fu-
disc analysis of who these people are?
Funny thing is that this assessment is a it's becoming a strong part, and I say that, and I'll give you a scenario. So the last actually towards the beginning of this month, there was a client that we had a conversation, and I use Ring Central now. And Ring
Okay.
Central, with the AI, it transcribes everything and
Nice
all of that.
endorsement there.
Yeah. And so I um I actually pulled the transcript and I dropped it into my AI and said, give me the characteristics of this person using the DIS assessment. What color are they?
That
And
is
so,
awesome.
and it came back as, one color. And then I made a correction as to, because I know it, I made a correction. And then it came back for two colors. And I said, craft an email to this individual based on the colors that they are so that we don't have to waste time. And I just sent an email out to them. And within 24 hours, that person called back in.
Okay, so this is a completely different subject, but absolutely stellar, because I just recorded our video blog. I think it was the one I recorded last week, so it'll probably go out in March sometime, talking about AI. And one of
Mhm.
the subjects that we talked about was using AI, recording your calls, and letting AI help you improve upon your phone dialogue. And this is taking it even another half step further.
Mhm.
Take that dialogue. Let AI, and here I'm talking about how AI can help us improve as loan originators, as real estate agents in our phone conversations. And here, you guys, DC's taking it another step where he is using AI. This is so fantastic, dude. I'm so proud of you. This is where DC is using AI, taking that dialogue, using it to analyze personality profiles with the person on the other end, and then helping him craft responses, helping him craft copy for emails, essentially. Now, you can probably take it another step and have it help you craft short form video scripts, whatever,
Yep.
but using it to really hit the nails, plural, on the heads with this person that he's interacting with, whether that's
Mhm.
written dialogue or voice dialogue, etc., to help him secure these buyer borrowers. That's I think we're done. I'm not sure we're going to get a greater pinnacle of how to treat that stuff today. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. No, I'm kidding.
so,
That
so you mean
you're
small time DC knows a little something?
DC knows a lot of shit. Don't give me that.
Yeah, I just don't say it, but I know quite a bit.
You are too quiet for
Yeah.
this. But yeah, for those of you that are listening, that is a serious nugget that DC just gave you. And it's funny because we talk about AI, and credit to Scott Chang, who has obviously circumnavigated the mortgage industry
Hmm.
forever
Yeah.
and certainly has always been on the leading edge of what's going on technologically. But
Yes.
he said something to me that I thought was just so relevant that I've kind of based all of my personal AI activity and all of the content that we give out to this audience, that people are using AI to, well, people are generating problems for AI to solve. Don't
Mm.
do that. Use
Yes.
AI to generate the problems you already have. You've got enough, I promise you. I don't
That's
care who
right.
you are. You have enough problems already.
Yeah.
You do not need to be fabricating more just to use AI to solve them.
That's right.
And the other piece of it is AI is not Google. Yeah, go ahead, talk to Meta, talk to ChatGPT, talk to, gosh, there's so many fantastic platforms right now.
Hmm.
I was a Bard user, so now it's Gemini. But yeah, use these tools. And if you want to use them like Google, use them like Google, no question. But that's not what it's there for.
That's
It's
right.
not Google, and you do not need to be fabricating problems for AI to solve. Figure out the one like DC just explained and use AI to solve that problem that you already have. But yeah, that is killer. I'm always so impressed.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm
Now
so
I had,
sorry you live so far away. I want to spend more time with DC.
now I just have to figure out a way to tell the clients that are bummed out because they've been turned down. Our most right now that I can think of, I think, is 8 times turned down. 8 times we got them approved. Um,
You have
it-
clients that were turned down 8 times by other mortgage companies, and
oh
the
yeah,
usual DC Terry tweaking and tugging and boot to butting has gotten them approved after 8 denials elsewhere.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, I don't
Yeah.
care who you DC. Where are you licensed? I know South Carolina. I know you're in South
I'm,
Carolina.
I'm in South Carolina right now, but we're going to be moving. Yeah. Well,
Eh,
expanding. Excuse
Oh,
me.
okay. Like you're moving out of South
Yeah. No, no,
Carolina,
no.
going back to
Expanding.
New York.
That would be wonderful. Wife says no.
Okay. All right. Well, I see her point.
Yes, sir.
All
But
right.
South Carolina.
Yeah. So if you're a buyer borrower, an agent, an insurance planner, a financial planner, and you're in South Carolina, you'd better check out DC. I cannot imagine how many loan originators and how many real estate agents have had turndowns, have had loans get denied, have had loans fail in underwriting, that would love to talk to somebody who can take 8 denials and turn it into an approval.
Yes, sir.
Man,
Yes, sir.
you're an alchemist,
Listen, man,
right?
we do
Isn't that
this.
the study of turning lead into gold is alchemy?
I believe so. We
Yeah.
are. We do
DC's
this.
you're the alchemist of the mortgage business. I love it.
Thank you. That means a lot. Seriously. Because these are not the kind of things you really, brag on or really just go out there and put on a video as much, because it's almost unbelievable, for some people until they actually hear the testimonies.
Well, until they experience you.
Yeah.
Wow, that is fantastic stuff. Of the percentage of borrowers that come to you, how many of them do you think have been denied for a loan previously?
Eight, 8 out of 10,
80%.
80%.
Okay, and of that 80%, how many are you getting closed?
80.
Dude, these are big numbers. And it's
Yeah.
just the work, right? I mean,
Yes,
most of it
sir.
is just working hard, being creative, finding solutions, looking deep into things. A lot of stuff that a cubicle farm won't do because they can't. They just can't.
Hmm.
It's a different business model. They don't have the resources. They don't have the knowledge base. They don't have the experience. So it's red stamp, green stamp.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can do your loan. No, we can't do your loan. It's a numbers game. It's a volume game.
Yes, sir.
And nope, for those of you watching, listening, live in syndication, DC takes this shit really personally. If he can't get your, I will say this: if DC can't get your loan approved, nobody can.
That's funny. That's what people have said. It used to be the thing when Wachovia was still alive.
Oh my gosh, there's
would
a
actually,
flashback.
yeah. So I would receive referrals from them. Listen, if you go to this guy and this guy can't get it done, then nobody can get it done. But more than likely, he can probably help you or tell you what needs to be done. And so that's where it's funny how you talked about this in the beginning. That's where I see us. That's what's coming back full circle now is when you said being busy. That's my being busy. You know, that's what I see coming now because that's what makes the phone ring now. You know,
Oh,
whether
I'll
it's
bet.
a commercial loan or someone needs some private money or whatever, that's these individuals that have already tried that traditional route, and someone said, call DC.
I love it. And I would like to say that we have a similar reputation at Core. There's a lot of chatter over what's 20 years now of my brokerage,
Hmm.
where, yeah, if Adam can't get it done, it probably can't done. And credit to where credit's due. That's my team.
Yes, sir.
It takes a village.
Yes, sir.
But I will say this, it does make for a lot of difficult transactions,
Yes, sir.
but it makes for an awful lot of really grateful clients.
It does. It really does.
No question. Well, I didn't really expect us to watch that half hour zip by so quickly, but we seem to do that every time that I'm with you. And we will certainly get another episode on the books as soon as we can here, because this is killer. And for those of you that haven't seen DC on the show before, I recommend you go back because I talk a lot and DC's really soft-spoken. And I will basically do that in an effort to poke and prod and get him to give you all some killer nuggets. And he did exactly that today. So, yeah, and especially in a new era when we're talking about, well, AI for the most part. We're talking about AI. Things are going to be different for those of you that are in a direct-to-consumer gig like he and I are, where it's a large ticket item, a mortgage, a home, a financial plan, your insurance, whatever. Mm-hmm. AI is going to play a big, big part of it. And one of the greatest lines I've used over, years and years now, I guess, since whenever we saw the inception of AI, whatever that looked like in its juvenile stages, is AI is not going to take your job, but people using AI will.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, yeah, take that one with a grain of salt. And DC, thank you. I know carving out this kind of time on a Monday, actually, I guess it's afternoon where you are now, but on a Monday morning for us is no easy task.
Well worth it.
Oh, thank you. We're always so glad to have you on the show. It's really cool stuff. And for those of you watching live or in syndication or listening to the podcast, you actually can catch us live on Mondays at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And then a mere 48 hours later, the podcast goes up on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. And that's really about it. If you want to know about what we actually do here at JTT and the podcast isn't giving you enough data about that, go check out the website, justthetipscoaching.com. We do the How I Met Your Mortgage podcast. We do have a weekly video blog called The Weekly Little Tip. I've written a couple of books on this subject, both Just the Tips and Mindset Tools for Sales. You can get those on our website. You can book a free hour of coaching. You can get data about our social media day and Mile High Mastermind conferences, just all the things. Go check out the website. DC, thank you, man. I absolutely love having you on the show, and I cannot believe how quickly the time goes by when we do.
It flew by.
I never have to prod you for, answers. It's funny, which is really cool. So we'll get you set up on another episode here as soon as we have an opening. We're about a year booked out, give or take, as usual. And yeah, that's it. So everyone watching live or listening in syndication, thanks for checking us out. DC, love you. I hope I get to see you soon. No idea what kind of mortgage conferences are on the calendar these days, but we'll do it. One of these, maybe we'll cross paths in person this year.
I hope so. Man.
It's been a minute.
To it.
All right, don't go anywhere, buddy. I'm going to run our extra, and we will see you guys next week with another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. You guys have a great week.
Blessings, everyone.